Welcome to another episode of the All Tense Podcast. I'm your co-host, Josh West, and as always, here with Clay Harris. And today, Clay, we're diving a bit deeper into marketing and sales, and we're being joined by a special guest today, Andrew Kappel, joining us. He is the principal of LeaderLev Consulting, and that is a firm delivering pipeline velocity services, helping B2B companies improve their sales processes. They also work with and really love to work with companies running on EOS. And he is also a fellow podcaster and an aspiring marathoner, scheduled to run his first marathon in October later this year. Clay, you're the one who brought Andrew onto the podcast. How did you first meet him? How did you guys work together?
Well, and he's also a new dad. So I'll just say, we got to keep that on the bio. But I met Andrew a couple years ago when I was at WorkSmart, an EOS run company, and we had, I don't want to say we had issues with our pipeline velocity, but I guess those weren't words that we knew, and maybe that was the issue. But we brought Andrew in because we wanted to do a better job of growing within our existing clients, right? We kind of identified that the lowest hanging fruit within the organization was our clients were buying 20, 30, 40% of the services that we offered. And rather than going out and doing all the hard work of trying to find all brand new clients, what if we just did a better job of leveraging the team that we had to sell into those existing clients? And Andrew came in and helped us develop some process around that. But enough of me talking. Andrew, what's up, man? It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Yep. New dad, 9-month-old, and just ripping through the milestones, and it's been very exciting. He showed up on my podcast, so you'll have to check out the How I Started podcast if you want to see Mr. Avery. And then the marathon.
He just goes through his birth story.
Yeah.
Is that how he started?
He's gonna make an appearance soon. That he crashed it. He showed up, but and then running the first marathon, I applied for the big ones like Chicago and New York, didn't get in, and so now I have to just tell people I'm doing a marathon on a podcast to keep myself accountable, because it's not going to age well if I don't do it. So,
well, if you just go out and run 26 miles, that counts.
Yeah. So I'm just getting into the training now. It's going to be hot summer, excuses, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So EOS.
The last time we chatted, Andrew, you were kind of doing work on helping B2B business to business selling companies figure out their strategies for hitting the market hard. Give me a little bit of an update on exactly where you are kind of on your journey. Yep. And give me a success story or two.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work with companies, pipeline velocity services, and we help them to improve how they create, convert, and then expand their pipeline. Most businesses, in today's market, outbound is really difficult. Inbound has dried up. A lot of businesses, they start out, they rely on referrals, or they have their install base and they just want to keep serving more to the customer base. But really what we do is we come in and we do a rapid growth assessment. It's 2 weeks. We align on the key priority, because Clay, you mentioned it's, sales and marketing, it's not easy. And you, in some ways, when it's not working. And so you don't want to just bring in an external consultant to tell you what you already know. So what we do is we understand, we try to quickly acclimate and understand hey, what is the biggest issue? Is it around creating, converting, or expanding? And then we'll align with the leadership team, and then we'll benchmark current process and capability, what's currently happening. And then we'll deliver a solutions roadmap, which the solutions roadmap, here's 5 things that you could be doing better. You can throw that in the garbage bin. You can self-implement, or you can work with LeaderLev to help implement that plan. So we do that over about 2 weeks, and we work with companies that run on EOS. We've partnered with some EOS implementers and some fractional integrators, and really it's some extra firepower to help companies in some ways get unstuck, think outside the box. There's a saying, you can't read the label from inside the jar. So I'm sure we all feel this. I run my own business. You always want to talk to other people and to get an outside in view. And so we like to be that resource for businesses to move quickly and hopefully move the ball forward.
What were the three things you said? The last one was expand. What were the three
Yep.
things that
So
you
it's
said?
create more pipeline, convert the pipeline that you already have, or expand your existing account base. Like how can we create and convert within our install base?
Josh, I think I'm going to ask you a question, Josh.
All right.
When Andrew and I had a conversation last week, I guess when we were talking about this, that sounds a lot like the proven process in our EOS world. Can you remind our listeners about the proven process, kind of where it fits in the EOS world and what it is?
Yeah, so our proven process is that timeline and that journey that we take with everyone. And so it starts with meeting with the leadership team for that 90-minute meeting, just really getting on the same page, sharing information, ultimately determining if there's a fit. And then I think about there's sort of phase one, or what we would call implementation. So 3 sessions in which we implement some of the major tools and really get a full VTO sorted out and configured for them to then move into what I would say is phase 2, or what we call full execution mode, and having them out there in that 90-day world, using the tools and disciplines in EOS to then be able to get everything that they want out of their business. And so we work with them for as long as necessary to facilitate those quarterlies and annuals. And that's the proven process.
We take that process that we run as EOS implementers and use something similar with our clients. And it's the third question on the marketing strategy when we're working with our clients to implement a VTO. And I'd imagine, Andrew, that's why it kind of resonates with the EOS clients for you, right? Because we've already kind of put into their head that there has, just like EOS as a process going from 90-minute meeting to fully executing, we urge our clients to like create this kind of journey for their clients too, where they understand what it takes to go, the way I say it all the time is to understand what it's like to go from not knowing a single thing to being a happy, recurring, referring client within our ecosystem. Is that why you think is that why you say you like working with EOS businesses?
Yeah. And I think I've been scarred by working with dozens of businesses that don't run on EOS. And, like you're doing a whole month long of intake and you really don't have any idea like how the business runs or like what their values are and like how it really works. So like, I'm never going to be surprised about anything. You just take everything with appreciation that like, this business has hired you to come on board and help them. But what I really appreciate about businesses that run on EOS is that you can get acclimated in an hour by studying their VTO. And like, you imagine that like we're coming in as external consultants, but when you're bringing on new team members, when you're working with different vendors, when you're, in some ways like the VTO, some of it can be client facing with like your business's values and things like that. Like it's just so valuable to have that clarity for what your business stands for and where you focus. I don't think that can be understated.
Andrew, as you talk through it, and we talked about, creating, converting, and expanding, you also talked about the difference between inbound and outbound. And I started to kind of create this matrix in my head of all of that. And, when you're working with clients, where do you find that they're struggling the most in all of that? Is it inbound? Is it outbound? Is it on the creating side? Is it on expanding? Like, where is everybody really struggling?
Yeah. It's a really good point, Josh. The way that I've structured the business, like everyone is struggling with one of those things and, oftentimes like a few of those, but what's important is not to try to tackle everything at once because you're doing all this stuff and you're not necessarily moving the needle. So it's about prioritizing. And, in the case of the WorkSmart where we worked with Clay, like they have an amazing customer base, really great reputation in the market and like just so much opportunity there to take some of the traditional sales process that most businesses, they focus most of their sales talent and personnel and resources on new business and take some of that focus and rigor and process onto the expansion business. And so we took that process and we work with them on expanding their kind of running a sales process and a client-centric, executive-focused sales process on the expansion side. So, it really depends. I think it's you'll learn the issues from the companies themselves, and then it's about focusing in and benchmarking, industry best practices, as I said, like from across the organization. Like some of the bigger companies, they're doing this like they're doing pockets of amazing work in this one section. And it's like, hey, let's expand that and put that into the proven process and like roll that out across the entire business.
I think there's an interesting thing for our listeners who are kind of in these sales roles, and they think about the proven process, because when we look at the proven process, we really try to like simplify it down, right? And there's the proven process goes from the first few steps of like not being familiar at all, like how do you get introduced, right, to how do you get converted, right, to a client, and then once you become a client. And when you look at to your point, Andrew, when you look at a generic EOS proven process, most of the weight and the heft and the volume of where that's just graphically even is on once you become a client. And I think that sometimes to what Andrew was saying, like once we get them to be a client, we're like, oh, work is done, right? But but there's some nuance that can be added to that proven process, and Andrew kind of helped highlight this, is that like based on the different activities that occur within your life cycle as a client, those probably should kick off, right? Like specific actions or cycles or other things. Like it's like building on top of the proven process, like all these other little things that we do. Like for example, Andrew probably remembers this, like if a primary contact at one of your biggest clients leaves, you probably need to run some plays.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and you don't want to just have that one, that primary contact shouldn't be the only contact, right? You should have different different touch points and different levels, because like it's just important to to triangulate information too.
Is there and so for our listeners who are probably ingrained in the EOS world, it's just this idea that like the proven process is a tool, and we often get into this thing where like check the box, check the box, check the box. Yep, we got that. But just this idea, we were talking about this on a previous episode, Andrew, that it's not a video game where you always, like, once you get it solved, you never have to think about it again. Yeah. It's actually just this idea that like there's constant iteration that has to happen in the business all the time, including in things as detailed as the proven process. It can always get a little bit better. I would be curious, Andrew, like kind of with some recent examples, like what are like some of your favorite tools or tricks or processes that you're putting in places that folks are like enjoying or getting great results from?
So I'll give two examples, like at two different parts of the organization. These can be applied at the create, convert, and expand motion, but it's like top down and bottom up. And so what I mean by that is top down, having an executive sponsor program. So you have your the leadership team members, and having the CFO or the head of finance from your company talk to the head of finance or the CFO from another company, and just having them like connected, even if your thing has nothing to do with finance. Like it's just really good for that alignment between the organizations. It's more of like a complex motion. Hopefully you're well integrated into the client's business, and so just having that like executive sponsor, so the visionary, the integrator, the heads of the departments, they can talk, not everyone, but just talk to some folks on the other side. You can do the same for in a new business pursuit. So you have your account executive, your sales rep, and they're calling the plays and running the options and laying out the strategy. But then you take a member of your leadership team and have them talk to the member of the leadership team on the prospect side. And it's just a really good way to get different lines of communication and to really improve the effectiveness. That's at the top. At the bottom, and I think this goes for everywhere, but just Clay, this is from you. Pick up the phone and just talk to people. And so I don't like to give free shout outs to tools, but there's a tool called Orem, and it makes it like fun to pick up the phone. You're kind of in a cockpit, and like, hey, you make a list of 50 people, and suddenly you click in, and 20 minutes later you've called all 50 people, you've had 3 or 4 conversations, and it's like, wow, I just talked to 5 customers, I just talked to 5 prospects in a 30-minute window, and like they're kind of revolutionizing picking up the phone and doing a really good job of it.
Playing along on that, and Clay getting you to dive into some of the tools, I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't at least lightly address AI. Certainly a lot of energy around that, and particularly when we think about, the customer acquisition side of things. Andrew, as you've met with clients, have you got some examples of people who've done a great job with implementing some AI into their processes, or some people who've done a really bad job? And we've seen some bad examples.
Yeah. Yes. Yes and yes. And I think it really comes down to the concept of nail it and then scale it. If you're having trouble, if you're not sure what's working and what's not, like don't try to scale it. Don't layer on automation and AI. So just do everything like almost brutally manually, and really one-to-one focused. Try it. You have to do like we work on 2-week sprints. So like we're testing stuff, we're iterating what's working, what's not. After maybe 3 cycles of that, like, hey, we have this process really dialed in. So now let's layer on the technology and the tools. So many times, like, things aren't working. So we're going to go get another tool, an agency, a vendor, and like that doesn't solve the issue.
A buddy of mine is like, his name is Daniel Engelbretson, and he's a big AI thought leader. He like teaches LinkedIn classes on AI. Anyway, super smart dude. But I was in a meeting with him, and he laid out this diagram of like a complex like pipe system, and he was like, think about your business as all these pipes. And he was like, and so one person in your team is really good at AI, and what they've done is they haven't made the whole pipe bigger. They've just made like one section of pipe go a lot faster than the rest of the pipe. And so what that means is that he's going to burst every other part of the pipe when he starts trying to put throughput through. And I thought it was just a great analogy where it's like, you can't just do one part of it. You can't just throw a tool at something. You have to, I love nail it, then scale it. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt maybe tomorrow. Andrew, before we go here, who are the folks? What kind of industries are they in? Where are they located? Who do you want to talk? If people want to talk to you, who do you want to talk to?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
try to
yeah.
get you some people.
So B2B, technology and service businesses. I have a appreciation for complex deals, for the stuff that's not super transactional. But we work with all sorts of businesses, and usually they're headcount. Like we focus on headcount size. So usually it's between 20 and 200 folks within the organization. And yeah, so we can flex up, flex down. We really focus on that align, benchmark, and roadmap. And as Josh said, it fits well within the EOS methodology. And so we'd love to have a conversation. And if we do a good job, give some value, some things to think about, then we can work with you for 2 weeks. Then you can decide if you like us or not.
Where can folks find you?
So LinkedIn, Andrew Kappel, Kappel at LinkedIn, as well as LeaderLev.com, LeaderLev as in leverage.
Cool. And we're going to put you on the spot. At the end of every podcast, we have a little nugget. So like something related to something people can walk away with out of at least somewhat related to today's topic. Yeah. Josh, why don't you give us a nugget first, and we'll go around the horn.
Oh gosh, I mean, I'll steal it directly from earlier. Like nail it, then scale it. Wow, I'm going to give credit right here to Andrew while we've got him on the pod. I thought that one was great, and I think a lot of times people like to jump out ahead and they want to get fancy. Let's cover those fundamentals first. Let's make sure we've got a strong foundation, and then go get tools and disciplines to scale it. I think that was great, Andrew.
Perfect. Andrew, give us a nugget.
Wow. So, I've gotten this recognition for the nail it then scale it, but another one that's coming into mind is why I like EOS is that simple scales, complexity fails. So Clay, like we've had the conversation, like sometimes the VTO is like too high level, and you're like, trust me, it's keep it simple, and because when you get complex, it doesn't work.
I feel like I'm just sitting here with 2 nugget masters. You guys are just nailing the nuggets today. I'm gonna take one last stab at a nugget, which is that there's a whole lot of power in the proven process tool, and whether you use the EOS model or some other model, like kind of really understanding and getting in on not just how people become clients, but really focusing on once they are a client. So many leaders that I work with just kind of like think that they can set it and forget it. And there's so much opportunity within your existing client base that I don't think we're doing a good job of tapping into. If you want to do a better job at that, reach out to my man, Andrew. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us today. Is there anything that you normally say at the end of your podcast that,
No,
like we
this was
always say,
fun.
like leave us comments?
It's great to be a guest. I'm a listener of the All Tens, and I look forward to learning more from. Clay and Josh are great, but sometimes it's fun to mix it up. I love Josh's intro; got me excited, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Cool. Thanks everybody for listening to the All Tens podcast. I'm Clay. He's Josh. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, Andrew.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.